Okay, guys, I'm back. Or maybe I don't know how I'm gonna lay these out. Um, I just did the other video on Meghan's speech. Then I apologize. I was feeling pretty energetic, and I'm telling you that chick, like trying to comment on it, get through it, and listen to her style brought me down. Like I just was like, oh my God, I want to go to bed. You know, I mean, she's a bore. I can you. I don't believe she has children. This is my bottom line. She speaks it. She says words. I was speaking of in my last video how I am doing pro se for a case. I've just got to finish it up, and I know what I am trying to get across. And I have done research for about a year on some stuff. Like I can't talk about it. Obviously, it's my next date is in sometime in August. We'll leave it that way. So I don't want to talk about it. I have months where I can't talk about it here. And I began, being very nervous, very didn't know what to say, very emotional. Because this was the second time, and I felt myself getting emotional, and then I had to stop, and I actually had to just put my mute button on my phone because I didn't want to come off as shrieky. I wanted to come off as professional. So what I did was I went on, a couple of different platforms and got a script written out, and then I had displayed it on 2 computers, and then I had to move from page to page on it. And as we were moving through the hearing over the phone, I was going from computer to computer to page. And honestly, I was up till 4 a.m. working on it. And there were some sentences there where I didn't even, and I used AI to form sentences, and form my script. And there will be a time where people are going to know that's what you're doing, but it's still kind of early in the game. So, and it took me hours and hours and hours to get to the point where I felt good and comfortable with what I was doing. And I got through it, and my opening thing, I thought these people are going to shoot me down, and they're going to question me, and they're going to test me. And they were like, okay, all right. And then I kept going, and I thought, I don't even know any of this legal stuff. And everybody was taking it seriously. Okay. And then there was one thing that they said, do you agree to that, Miss, I almost just gave my name, Miss so-and-so here. And I said, yes, I do. I'm not as familiar with it as you, but I will do my research to learn about it. And then I just dropped it or something like that. I will do my research on that topic. Boom. Never say you don't know, but if you don't know, just say, okay, I need to do more research on that, but as far as right now, yes, I do agree. And so when I listened to Meghan with her note cards, I thought, it just was unacceptable for a professional woman. Honestly, she's not professional. She's not talented. She doesn't have all this crap. So I want you to listen to this. Hopefully this is the right video. And I'll tell you why I am doing this. Okay, so this is putting forth the theory, the hypothesis that Meghan Markle doesn't know what it's like to have children because she never had any, and she doesn't have any now, and they are actors. I don't care what you guys say. I know you don't want to believe it. I know everyone is loaded down with a bunch of cognitive dissonance. And that's another thing. Meghan didn't know her topic. It would not have been so clunky if she knew her topic and was living her topic. She should stick with something that she knows and lives every day with, and then figure out a way to get it across so that people don't think she's just a clunk doing a bunch of, basically redundant word salad. And trying, it just didn't work. It was just bad. Okay, here. So this is, where are we? Well, that's not what I wanted either. Why am I having this? Okay, here she is. Okay.
Really great book. It's called The First 40 Days.
Okay, so Meghan was speaking of healthy food for children. I don't know what she considers to be a child. 14 years old is not a child. That's a teenage boy that is just a few years away from adulthood. Okay, so if he was 14 and a half, he was 3 years away from being able to be drafted into the military. That's not a child. That's a young man. All right.
And it has some amazing recipes, and it really delves into the science behind the why of warming foods, and also why,
Oh, yeah, she's good.
I
Okay.
feel like she's coming out anytime soon. Weeks, and that's great. But for me, both my other babies.
Doctors, I sent out cath lab worker surveys to jabs, and the more jabs they've taken, the worse the clot.
Whoops.
Corpses during my last, as told you about.
Yep.
Again this year at the 10 last jabs way back in 2020. Endovascular specialist.
You have no idea how many of those were pulled are in her autopsy report. Her lungs loaded. All right, so here we go.
Well, very exciting news. Mothers-to-be is back. I know some of you have written into us asking what's going on. Well,
Polly uses so many filters. She looks blurred. I think she's trying to hide. No offense, Polly. You're a pretty woman. You don't have to do that to yourself. I made a comment and she's improved a little bit. I mean, it's just.
Isabella went and had a baby, and she's here today.
So this is her daughter. So these are very beautiful women here.
To join us to talk about her experience. Welcome back, Isabella.
Hi, thank you. It's lovely to be back, and thank you for your patience while I was gone. Clementine is now 2.5 months, so it's been a little while, but happy and excited to get back and chat all things motherhood with you guys.
Yes, so we're going to kick off this series today with Bella talking about her birth. Now, as I know, pretty much all of you know, Isabella is my daughter. So there before you is my granddaughter, my second.
At first, I didn't know what was going on with this baby, but it's a 2.5-month-old, and as you listen to this, you will get a better feel. So let's just keep going here.
Second granddaughter, my third grandchild. So very exciting. And I happened.
See, Polly's trying to hide her. You look beautiful, Polly. Don't worry about it.
To actually have been with Bella when she had Clementine Rose. But so, Bells, I think the first question
Okay. Here is Polly with her granddaughter.
Now to mothers-to-be. They're back. She's back. Well, very exciting news. Mothers-to-be is back. I know some of you have written into us asking what's going on. Well, Isabella went and had a baby, and she's here today to join us to talk about her experience. Welcome back, Isabella.
Hi, thank you. It's lovely to be back, and thank you for your patience while I was gone. Clementine is now 2.5 months, so it's been a little while, but happy and excited to get back and chat all things motherhood with you guys.
Yes, so we're going to kick off this series today with Bella talking about her birth. Now, as I know, pretty much all of you know, Isabella is my daughter. So there before you is my granddaughter, my
Yay!
second granddaughter, my third grandchild. So very
So she had a home birth. And this is a real baby and a real grandmother. And isn't this the sweetest thing you ever saw? And knowing Polly, she probably worked her ass off and kept the house clean and did everything for her daughter. Just a guess, but I'm probably right.
exciting. And I happened to actually have been with Bella when she had Clementine Rose. But so, Pals, I think the first question I want to ask you is why did you decide to have a home birth?
Yeah, so Clementine was actually my second home birth, my third natural birth. My first was essentially a home birth at my midwife's house. And honestly, I've just had such fantastic experience giving birth at home. And I just knew there was.
Wow. I don't know, maybe you guys understand the plastic on the furniture. I'm assuming this is her bed. So I'm not quite understanding that. Um, Actually, that's a little scary. A baby could suffocate on that. But okay, so you've got dad, mom, and baby. Now, how come we never saw anything like this from Sparkle Smarkle, the natural vegan girl, the barefoot and pregnant woman sitting out in a field with in a black and white picture with like 3 pillows underneath a white dress.
No-brainer that I wanted to do it again. For me, being in the peace and comfort of your home, no bright lights, no random strangers walking in when you're trying to give birth and be in that kind of sacred space. We had such fun setting up the bedroom with, twinkly fairy lights. And for me, giving birth in the tub, I don't know how people do it without it.
Oh, okay.
And so that, of course, was an option with home birth, and really not to deal with any bullying.
This is a real situation. This is as real as you can get. But if you listen to the way she describes it, this is someone that has fully embraced her body. She's fully in touch with herself. And she fully embraced the motherhood experience and embraces it. Meghan is constantly talking about this all the time, but she shows no that I could talk about this all the time. I could start a new YouTube channel and just talk about it, and no one would know the difference. I mean, you'd know it. I mean, I could just say, yeah, I'm doing this now, and here I am, and yeah, I'm a mom, and we need to protect our kids, and I want to get paid for it, and I want to get a grant, and I want my foundation to get a grant because I'm a mother, even though there's no proof indicating I am, and there is not a matronly bone in that woman's body. She is all about she.
Is another huge reason I'm an advocate for home birth. I absolutely adored my midwife, and she just didn't hassle me about anything. It was entirely, this is your birth. However you want to do it is okay with me. And I think you can't beat that level of care.
Okay, let's go through what actually happened, Bells, because when was Clementine's due day?
So she was due, I think, on the 9th. She was about 5 days overdue. Now, I know for a lot of you watching, you're probably like, that's nothing, because some women go to 42, 43 weeks, and that's great. But for me...
Didn't Meghan go to like 62?
both my other babies came at 39 weeks naturally. So in my head, I just thought, third baby, she's also going to come at 39 weeks. So I was starting to get a little bit impatient. And due date came and went, and she still wasn't there. In fact, actually, I was very discouraged because she was breech for a while, and then she did flip, but she was sitting very high up. Now, she was posterior, and so my chiropractor and my midwife both agreed that maybe she just wasn't ready to come out yet because she couldn't get into an optimal position. But I was discouraged because at my last midwife appointment, the midwife was like, gosh, she's really quite high up still. She's almost moved back up. I think it's going to still be a while. And this appointment was actually the day before she was born. So I came home, and I said to Mum and my husband, I was like, she's not coming anytime soon, so let's just relax and go about our normal lives because I can't just sit here waiting around any longer. And so the next day was Valentine's Day. We had a very normal day. I actually went to the beach with my kids, my husband, and we came back. And it wasn't until dinner that night I started having some contractions. Now, I had had a few contractions, over previous days, but they had just fizzled out. This time I was thinking, gosh, maybe they're the real thing. We're sitting around the dinner table. I'm like, oh, maybe this is actually happening 6:30 p.m. And they just continue to intensify. They didn't go away this time. I was thinking, this is it. So we put the kids to bed. Mum looked after my older two children, which was so great. And Max and I went into the room and I put on my worship playlist, and contractions just started intensifying. I would say what was really cool about this birth compared to my others is even though the contractions were getting more intense and closer together, they were never unmanageable for me. I felt very in control. I felt very safe. I felt really great, honestly, which was awesome and a very cool experience. One of the contractions was amazing because I felt her really descend and flip. I was kind of expecting that I would be having a lot of back labor because she was sunny side up, but I did feel her kind of move and turn during a big contraction, and I had absolutely no back labor, which was such an answered prayer. So things started to intensify. Again, nothing unmanageable, but then my husband was texting the midwife, and I said, I don't think she should come yet because typically my labors are a bit longer than this. I don't feel like she's coming out anytime soon. We probably have another 5 or 6 hours.
Now, why am I showing you guys this? Or what is the significance of this? And what should we be thinking of and looking at? And so Meghan's youngest is 4 years old. I know she's a month shy of 5. I don't give a shit. Or a couple weeks even. She's still 4. When you look at this woman, does she look like a lady with a 4-year-old daughter?
Change becomes inevitable. One day, generations from now.
I'm sorry, you guys, but those note cards are ridiculous. And this entire thing is straight out of almost a satanic ritual. There is no way I would let this woman speak for me. So this is a woman that has...
Anywhere else. We did not tell parents to create their own seatbelts. We did not ask children to...
Okay. So we look at someone blaming the world for problems that are out there for kids, teenagers mostly. I mean, this is basically teenage stuff. She's got a 4-year-old daughter and what, a 5 or 6-year-old boy? She's way too old looking for that. And she does not seem to carry herself, act, or have a speech pattern of a woman that has a 4-year-old daughter who she should be at home with. She should be at home with a 4-year-old little girl. Yeah. I don't care if somebody's taking care of her. Supposedly. This is why I don't think they exist. Do you think this woman, this mother, would just travel around the world to try to get props from Dr. Tedros? I mean, why would you even want that man involved in what does a man who does public health, and I have to be careful because I know I'm going to hurt this lady's feelings across. I already told her I disagreed with her thesis. And I know her husband is walking around having cigarettes a lot too. So I said I really disagree with your field that you've chosen. I'm sorry. I just do. Yeah. Okay.
And Max was just looking at me like, these contractions are.
Do you think Isabella Jan would be in control of what her kids do? I'm thinking she would. Just continue to listen to this woman. She's awesome.
Coming very, very close together. But I could talk through them, and I said, no, don't bother her. Let's just wait. And then, to my knowledge, he actually texted my midwife anyway and was like, I think you should probably come because they are coming very close together. And thank goodness he did, because she arrived and I vomited on the bed, which I vomited in my first birth, not at all in my second, but just.
You can hear this baby cooing.
Once in the third birth. And of course, my midwife was like, that means you're in transition. And she came right when I was doing that. Max actually had to go and get mum, I believe, from upstairs. I was like in my labor zone, but I remember my mum being there and I was like, hi, mum. And she was changing the sheets, which is amazing. But yeah, things continued to intensify. My midwife was blowing up the tub. And I just kept asking her, when can I get in? Because I was starting to feel pushy. I could feel Clementine really descending. Again, my other births, I had pushed for probably 90 minutes with each birth. I was already starting to push and I could feel her really low. And I was like, I think she's pretty much coming out. So the tub was finally full. I popped in and within, probably 5 pushes and under 10 minutes after that, she came flying out, which was amazing. And again, overall, compared to my other 2 births, all 3 of my births have been such a gift, such an amazing experience. But this was by far my best birth. Quickest, least intense. There was never a time where I felt discouraged. I felt really good about it, and it was awesome.
Yeah, you did amazing, Bella, for sure. It was quite incredible to be part of that. And she weighed quite a lot, didn't she? Because we thought she was quite small because we weren't too.
Yeah.
Wow. The little boy is looking into her eyes. The little girl is kind of like, oh no, I'm not top dog anymore.
Yeah, she was a big baby. All of my babies have been quite big, but for anyone watching, if you're discouraged about, oh, your baby's going to be huge, Clementine was my biggest baby and my easiest. Yeah, she was a big baby. All of my babies have been quite big, but for anyone watching, if you're discouraged about, oh, your baby's going to be huge, Clementine was my biggest baby and my easiest birth. She was 9 pounds 11. And I had no tearing, no issues with, of course, all the things they say is so scary about having a big baby. I had absolutely no issues. And yeah, it was my easiest birth. So big babies for the win.
And just so you all know, the other 2 children who are only 1 and 3, 4. 1 and 4.
Okay. 1 and 4. Let's go back. This is a 4-year-old little girl. Look at her shoulders and her arms. I don't know this for sure, but I think Polly is taller. I know her autistic son is well over 6 feet. I make that assumption, although I have no proof. I make the assumption, plus I watched the movies that she was in. This is her 4-year-old daughter. Meghan's 4-year-old daughter has a body of a 7-year-old. Look at the shoulders. Very toddler-esque. Here's the 1-year-old. Here's the newborn. Don't bullshit us anymore, bitch, Markle. Don't bullshit us up anymore. We're tired of it. This is a 4-year-old girl. Actually, I'm plugging this into Grok. I can't anymore. Because I have been trying to prove that those kids don't exist. People say midwife, blah, blah, blah. Well, that midwife would have had to have given birth before Archie. How's that? I know I'm right. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, she was a big baby. All of my babies have been quite big, but for any
Again, not to be redundant or a pain in the ass, this is a 4-year-old girl. And is she cute? Her hair will darken a little bit, though, I can tell. My hair was a little bit even lighter than that. I'm still this natural color. Just kidding. I touch the roots up. That's all I need to do.
anyone watching, if you're discouraged about, oh, your baby's going to be huge, Clementine was my biggest baby and my easiest birth. She was 9 pounds 11, and I had no tearing, no issues with.
They slept right through all of this, because this is how it went for me. I went up nice and I spoke to Bella in the kitchen. I was like, do you think you're actually in labour? And you're like, no, probably not. I mean, I don't know. It's whatever it is nothing right now. It's about 6:37 when we just had finished eating. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go head up to the other children, help, with that, and just be up there with them. And then at about 10 o'clock, Max, Bella's husband, shone his flashlight in my face and he goes, do you mind getting up? He was nice and calm because Bella's vomited. We need some help. And I thought he said the midwife wasn't there yet. I don't know. Anyway, we ran downstairs and helped clean the sheets. And Bella did so well. And I cleaned the sheets. The pool was up. Bella got into the pool, and basically it wasn't that long after that Clementine came out.
Yeah, literally 10 minutes. And yeah, I do want to touch about that because obviously both my kids, we kind of practice more of a co-sleeping style of parenting. And one of my big worries was, oh gosh, my other kid's going to be okay if they're not there for support. But these things really do work themselves out. And, for all of my births, especially with the ones with older kids, have been absolutely fine. They sleep through, get a parent in to help. But it just worked perfectly. They slept through and then they woke up in the morning and there was baby Clementine. They were so excited to meet their sister.
I know that feeling. I still
really cool timing.
That feeling.
It was. And I think it helps that your second child, Flora, who's just about to turn 2 now, she's very independent. We decorated her room the week before with dollies and all kinds of stuff, everything that she likes. And she was with a tiny little bed. She was so excited to be in there, wasn't she? She's just a very independent child.
Yeah. All babies are so different. She's definitely my independent girl. She actually loves her own space. So it's great.
It is great. So you've had 3 births, and the first one was in a birthing centre type. Well, it wasn't a birthing centre, was it? What was it?
Yeah, so technically it was a birth suite. It was essentially a home birth at my midwife's house. She had, a separate space, which just worked for the setup that we were in, the house that we were living in, etc. So I did have to travel though, and that was the difference. I got all the benefits of the home birth, but I still did have to get in the car, and that was a game changer for my second and third. Just being able to, labour starting, there's nothing to stall it because you're just at home and you're calm already. Versus with my first birth, I was thinking, oh gosh, contractions are starting, let's go for the 45-minute drive. And it just was quite uncomfortable to be in the car. But it was a wonderful experience. It was a lot longer, as most first-time labours are. I think it was about 17 hours. But he came out eventually, and he was also big. He was 9, 10 and a half. And then we stayed over the night at my midwife's house because it was in the middle of the night, and went home in the morning. And yeah, it was also a wonderful experience.
And your second Flora was born at home. I was there for that as well. It was very exciting.
Yes, she was born at home. I would say she was probably my most intense birth, actually. The pushing with Flora was very intense. I don't know if she got wedged at all, but it just took a while. Again, everything was healthy and fine, and she came out and all was good. It was a more intense birth, I would say, than the others. And that one was about maybe 7 or 8 hours. So my middle length, but again, at home with midwife in the tub, and then just the same ability to crawl into bed afterwards just makes for such a restorative postpartum and first nursing and bonding and all of that stuff.
And didn't she have a knot thing?
Yes. So yeah, Flora, my second child, had a true knot in her cord, which was so crazy to see. It just blows my mind how that can happen. But, I know it's rare and it can cause complications, but in our case, everything was absolutely fine. Clementine, actually, if any of my babies had maybe, the most struggle after birth, which we should probably talk about. I think sometimes people pretend that home birth is all, nothing can ever happen, and for the most case everything goes great, but Clementine did come out. She needed a little bit of help with breathing. She came out a little bit gray. I don't know why. Sometimes these things just happen, but my midwife was amazingly calm, which I think is one of my favorite things about home birth. Of course, midwives are fully trained, and she just stayed very, very calm. Sometimes these things just happen, but
See, this is a baby, right? Meghan had a doll.
my midwife was amazingly calm, which I think is one of my favorite things about home birth. Of course, midwives are fully trained, and she just stayed very, very calm. There was no panic in the room, and she just helped her, with suctioning and some rubbing, and eventually she perked up and got a nice color, and everything was fine. But it just goes to show that it is great to have a midwife there, and also again, just I think the calmness in these situations is key, versus I can imagine if I was in a hospital, that would have probably ended with maybe a NICU stay or her being taken from me, or something that would have caused probably high stress for me.
Pumped full of chemicals in NICU is what would have happened.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I forgot that happened. Yeah, that was a little bit of time before we heard her cry.
Yes, yeah, it just took a while. I think she had swallowed some fluid, and was just struggling a little bit to get a nice deep breath, and also to just become a nice pinky color. But again, the midwife had all the right tools. She allowed me to do skin to skin while she was doing all these things, which was huge for me. She had to take her for maybe a minute or two, but otherwise she was right back on my chest.
We never heard anything from Meghan like this. We never heard anything from Catherine like this exactly, or Charles for that matter, but the protocol's different, obviously. But if Meghan was this new California girl and she was a vegan and she's just this cool chick, and don't you forget it. And I mean, but yet we have a very dark, older woman who has a child the same age as Bella.
Test unsafe medicine. We did not shrug at poisoned water or defective toys and call it the price of progress. We acted.
I don't know what the fuck this chick is talking about. Look at that face. They both have a daughter the same age.
As the midwife was doing everything, and she was just professional and amazing, and dealt with it really, really well.
One is a mother, one isn't. That's the difference.
And meanwhile, while they were going through that, I was in the kitchen because we decided that as soon as Bella, what's your favourite snack? What do you want to eat after going through this? And so I did hot buttered toast, gluten-free, organic. Had a little bit of organic-y, gluten-free. Did it have chocolate spread on it?
Yes. Yes.
When she said this, I was just like laughing because my favorite snack is sourdough bread that's baked less than 10 miles from here. It's got like 3 ingredients in it. With what does it have in it? I forgot. Flax or something? Yeah, something like that. And grass-fed butter. And I thought, that's my favorite snack too. I thought I was weird.
So every time after birth, I don't know why, everyone I feel like has that one meal that they love. And for me, it's always something like a warm bread with either butter or something. And every birth, I've always wanted it. And this was no different. And mum came in with, it's like a hot buttered, organic, gluten-free baguette, essentially, with some of that. It's like the healthy Nutella they sell at Whole Foods. Anyway, it was absolutely delicious.
I know Polly shops at Whole Foods. I don't trust Whole Foods because word on the street now, if Meghan really wants to know what the hell's going on, is that organic produce is being sprayed with glyphosate right now. So I'm a part owner at my co-op, and something I'm going to do, hopefully, if I remember between tomorrow and Friday, is try to get a hold of someone just to see what their thoughts are on that, because I hope to hell they're not spraying the vegetables I'm eating with that shit. Okay, let's go.
That's exactly what I needed, because this was about midnight at this point, but it was just the perfect pick-me-up. And yeah, there's nothing like those first moments after birth, lying in bed with your newborn, having a delicious meal when you're just ravenous because you've been through the whole birth experience, and you're just cozied up in bed, and it was just the best.
Now, it's really important, and we talked about this before the birth, that Bella was not going to get out of bed for a certain amount of time, because I remember back in my day, some of my friends hemorrhaging because they had 3 or 4 kids before, and they had to run around after their toddlers and stuff like that. And I know not everyone can get their mum up or something like that, but I was glad to be there because Bella did rest in bed. Talk a bit about what can happen if you don't rest in bed, Belle, from your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so massively important. And, especially I think with subsequent births, us mums think, gosh, we've got to get up and we've got to get right back to it. And many women do. And, you've just been through something essentially traumatic to the body. You've been through a really big ordeal, and you have a huge wound inside of you. And people forget this because they think, I'm fine on the outside. But actually, just like with any injury or any wound, you need to rest and recover in order for it to heal effectively. So yes, if you're getting up and you're running around, you're much more susceptible to hemorrhage or prolapse. Picking up things, all of that can increase the risk. So it's so important to truly rest, and also to have that time to bond with your baby. I think a lot of people, in this culture, we're so quick to rush back to work, we're quick to rush back to getting out and about, but truly just you and your baby, skin to skin, in bed, full rest. They recommend the 5-5-5 rule. So that's 5 days in the bed, 5 days on the bed, and then 5 days around the bed. That's...
I don't know what Meghan's talking about body dysmorphia. I'm seeing the exact opposite. And it's putting me over the edge. But let's keep going.
2 weeks, essentially, over 2 weeks of
metabolism.
Pure rest.
That is a metabolism that, all right, just is unhealthy.
Overall, so that's 5 days in.
This woman just has a unhealthy metabolism. Like her facial fat, her arm fat. I know she just had a baby. Her fingers are fat. Why is it that there is not body dysmorphia out there with regard to social media? There might be, but very little. And if anything, it's okay not to shove your face with food every 5.
the bed, 5 days on
I know you guys hate it when I talk like that. Oh shoot, was that a little
the
bump?
bed, and then 5 days around the bed. That's 2 weeks
Okay,
essentially.
this is
Picking up
important.
things, all of that can increase the risk. So it's so important to truly rest, and also to have that time to bond with your baby. I think a lot of people, in this culture, we're so quick to rush back to work, we're quick to rush back to getting out and about, but truly just you and your baby, skin to skin, in bed, full rest. They recommend the 5-5-5 rule. So that's 5 days in the bed, 5 days on the bed, and then 5 days around the bed. That's 2 weeks, essentially over 2 weeks of pure rest, not getting up to go to the kitchen and making a meal, not walking up and down the stairs, true rest. And I'm so thankful to have mum there to help, so I could really do that. But I've pretty much practiced that with all 3 pregnancies, and I've had really, really good recoveries. And so I think if you can really prioritize those first 2 weeks of true rest, your body will really thank you in the long run. Because again, you're healing a big wound, and also your body is so depleted after going through something very strenuous. So it's important to nourish your body, hydrate well, eat lots of warming foods just to recover and replenish, and then.
So what we're seeing is a natural mom, a natural woman, a natural beauty who follows a natural, healthy lifestyle. Again, I compare it to this.
And now they call it. We did not ask children to test unsafe medicine. We did not shrug at poisoned water or defective toys and call it the price of progress.
I don't know what decade this chick is living in. Nixon formed the EPA back in the early 70s. What more do you want, girl? You're on your social media account day and night posting pictures of an actress little girl who's not 4 years old. But again, this woman here has a daughter the same age as this woman here. A healthy woman with a healthy mind and body versus a woman pretending to be something she is not with her index cards in Geneva or wherever the hell she is. I don't know. Belgium? I don't know where the hell she was.
Really, really rest, even when it's tempting that you want to get up.
Yeah, let's talk about the warming foods, because again, we had planned that ahead of time. Why are warm foods better for you than eating cold fruit or something?
Yeah, so there's a really amazing research on this going all the way back to the Ayurvedic times, and the Chinese medicine is really, really big on the warming foods. But essentially, also your digestive system is slowed, and again, your body is trying to recover, and warming foods are exactly what your body needs to be able to digest and rest. And there's a really great book. It's called The First 40 Days, and it has some amazing recipes, and it really delves into the science behind the why of warming foods, and also.
See, this is what people are into right now.
Really great book. It's called The First.
People are into more organic, not Meghan recipes, which are pretzels.
40 Days, and it has some amazing recipes, and it really delves into the science
pretzels with jam
behind the why of warming foods, and also why specific foods. So lots of broths and meats, and soaked and sprouted oatmeal and things like that again are warming versus smoothies even, or salads, and especially junk food. I know you've just had a baby and it might be tempting to do all that, but you are just going to slow your recovery down. So highly recommend that book. We also have some more resources on the Mothers to Be web.
See what I'm saying? If your kid is stressed out, having emotional issues, and on their phone too much, which they shouldn't be on to begin with. Mom gives her kid a charging device so that she can sit up all night after eating pizza. I mean, we never ate pizza for dinner at home. Ever. I'm having to struggle even remembering that. We would have hamburgers during the summer up at the lake on the grill. I can't even remember what we used to eat. We didn't even have a fridge for a while. How's that?
Website about this, as well as some recipes. So definitely check it out.
I want to make a last comment, which I thought was really interesting. That I think it was a midwife. Somebody advised us because so Theo, your oldest child, goes to a little play group. It's like a Christian play group. It's lovely. You know what I'm like about schools, everybody. It's basically like a sort of homeschooling type environment. Yeah, whatever. And so he goes there, and whoever it was advised, was it the midwife, to actually keep Theo out of school after the baby's born for a little bit because of all the bugs that he could bring back, and just keep the atmosphere sort of clean. And I know some people may say, well, you know, they're all going to get bugs anyway, blah, blah, blah. Dr. Suzanne Humphrey's always saying that babies really should be not on airplanes until 18 months.
At least.
Because
They shouldn't be on
viruses and
airplanes
things
at
that
all.
your child just can't particularly cope with, like a child.
No.
I don't think I'm saying wrong.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And also,
Okay. So I don't know about you guys, but I remember. Now, my mom did not do this because she did take us out to visit our grandparents and things. Because I have pictures. But back when I was younger, when I was little myself, we were kept away from the newborns because you wanted to keep sort of the outside germs from coming into the new baby.
if possible, just keep your baby strapped on like this. You know, I don't think babies need to be handed around or going out loads in public where they're just kind of exposed to things. Again, we're not fearful of viruses, but we don't want to unnecessarily expose our babies to things when they're so young. Again, I think they should just be with mama and really just at home. So we did, you know, choose to keep both siblings back at home, not even go to things like story times or playgrounds just for a little while. So everyone can really bond as a family and have that quiet time, and also to protect little baby Clementine just from anything that she may be exposed to at such a young age.
And so, Bella, from now on, every Monday, we are going to be back with Mothers to Be. You've got lots of exciting interviews lined up.
Yes.
But you're also looking for birth stories. So, and it don't feel like if you tried to have a home birth and went to hospital, we want to hear those stories. Or maybe you had an amazing hospital birth or a terrible hospital birth. All of these stories are important because other mothers will be able to look at them and learn from them. What else do you want people to?
Yeah, please do send birth stories in. I personally love listening to birth stories, but also I just feel like there's so much value in learning from other mums. So really, that's my call to action. If you're watching this and you're a mum.
So this is a mom that again, I keep saying this, that has children that are the same age as Meghan. And this is how Meghan is speaking about motherhood. Look at her face, look at her makeup, look at her hair, look at her unhealthy skin tone, and please give me your opinions.
We acted, and now the world must act again.
Get your note cards out.
Because children today are being shaped by systems designed to capture attention at absolutely any cost. Relentless algorithms, exploitative engagement, and endless exposure to harmful content that they are not seeking out. When a joy...
Whose fault is that? She's blaming it on world governments. She's blaming it on the world. This woman is not a mom to a 4-year-old girl or a 6-year-old boy. She is simply not. I'm sorry, I know you guys don't want to believe that. Oops. This woman is.
And maybe it's not a birth story, maybe it's a story about, you know, your toddler going through something, or something you experienced as a mother that you really want other mums to know. Please reach out to me. Again, I want this to be, you know, a
Well, I think Meghan should be doing that instead of sitting out. Where I don't know where she was again. Geneva's Plaque des Nations. So there are apparently local dignitaries there, and like just people walking by with tombstones as screens. The joys of motherhood.